Come in, weary traveller. Let me tell you a tale. Long ago and far away, in the mists of an ancient time called the early 90s, a young lad called Scott had the Master System version of Golden Axe. And it was slow, and it was jerky, and it only had one of the player characters from the original arcade game, and he was obviously the worst of the three on account of not being a dwarf. And yet, young Scott didn't give a shit, for in this version, he got to assault gnomes, summon a hello. As I was saying, young Scott didn't give a shit, for in this version, he still got to assault gnomes, summon a dragon, and chuck off a turtle. But then, one fateful day, young Scott found a box labelled Golden Axe Warrior in a magical realm called What Every Woman Wants, which was a discount department store in the UK, which for some reason always sold cheap Master System games. Also, apparently every woman wants Master System games. Now you know. Anyway, young Scott was incredibly excited when he saw the box for Golden Axe Warrior. More Golden Axe, he squeaked, but the fates were cruel. For it was not more Golden Axe inside that box. Young Scott had been deceived. What he found inside that box was only lies and a Master System game. Little did young Scott know, however, that this cruel deception was in fact a blessing in disguise. Oh, Jesus. Golden Axe Warrior is a lot of things, but it's mainly the game that tricked me into playing an RPG for the first time. First of all, let's get it out of the way. Golden Axe Warrior is a shameless rip-off of The Legend of Zelda. Absolutely shameless. Swords, monsters, screens, dungeons, hearts. It's Zelda in Golden Axe's weirdly kinky clothing. Just put Ganon in some hot pants and a leather mask, and you're there. Anyway, before I played Golden Axe Warrior, I was used to things like levels or stages. Roughly 3 to 5 minutes of action. Make your own jokes. But compared to something like the Green Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog, the world of Golden Axe Warrior is huge. This game has continents. 3 of them. Separated by an actual sea. It's not just the scale of the world that's impressive though, it's the variety. Forests, deserts, mountains. It all fleshes this world out and makes it more interesting. You've even got burnt out villages with dead children. I was 8 when I first played this. The changing scenery also gives things a sense of progress or momentum as you play through the game. It's like you're actually journeying to a new land to find and conquer a new dungeon. But then, when you get certain items like the canoe or the magic rope, areas that were blocked off to you before suddenly open up. It's a nice bit of Metroidvania design, going back to where you've been before, but with a new bag of tricks. When last you gazed upon these lands, you were a child, and now you're still a child, but with a better sword or something. So, the world is pretty cool, but how does Golden Axe Warrior actually play? Honestly, it can be a bit awkward. At the start of the game, combat's really tense. Monsters in the game seem to sprint around entirely at random. It's like Death Adder gave his whole army bath salts and just let them loose. This makes it almost impossible to find patterns in a monster's movement. So the difference between success and, well, dying seems random, as opposed to anything that's actually your fault. Now later on in the game, when you've got loads of health, you can just tank your way through it, but at the start, when you've got your 3 hearts of health and your shitey wee sword, things can get hazardous. And even when you get upgrades like the battle axe, which isn't the golden axe, it's just a normal axe, but yet somehow it's still in a treasure chest, you will still need to cheese your way through some parts of this game, especially the bosses. Also, these wee scorpion the worst. Just the worst. We also need to talk about how the game moves you along, how it directs you towards the next thing that you need to find. Because it basically doesn't. The game tells you next to nothing in terms of where to go or what to do. Where's the next dungeon? How do I find the items I need to progress? Why are there so many scorpions? You really have to go out into the world and explore and find it all out for yourself. Now, it's not like there's no help available whatsoever. You'll get the occasional hint from a well-meaning villager, but even then they are ridiculously vague. I heard there's a dungeon to the west. Great, thanks for that. You see how much f***ing west there is out there, mate? Literally an ocean's worth. And yet, for all that this makes things difficult, I kind of like it. I like the freedom of it, the idea that you're just given a world and a problem to solve. It reminds me of games like Breath of the Wild or Dark Souls, because I'm also crap at those games. Speaking of Dark Souls, Golden Axe Warrior can be a little sadistic. In the big outside world, any given screen might want you to chop down every tree, or get rid of every rock, or kill every single enemy to unlock some secret that you absolutely need to progress. And it's never clear what the game actually wants you to do. As a result, Golden Axe Warrior can become a bit of a slog of try everything on every screen until something eventually opens up. The dungeons, on the other hand, actually benefit from having a smaller scale than the outside world. Generally, you'll either gather keys to open locked doors, or you'll flip hidden switches in the lights to open other doors, and you move forward towards the boss. It's a bit of a challenge, it's a bit of a puzzle, but it's always perfectly pitched against your experience and your abilities, until you reach the bosses, who still feel cheap. Also, I've just noticed this guy's basically wearing bondage gear. And we're in a dungeon. In my last video I talked about the Alex Kidd remaster and how I still hate Alex Kidd in Miracle World, despite all the improvements. I still really hope that Golden Axe Warrior gets the remaster treatment. Behind its awkward combat and its moderately unhinged expectations of the player, there's a really good RPG in Golden Axe Warrior. And with a few tweaks, a few accommodations to what the modern gamer might expect in the year 2025, this game could really shine. Combat that feels less random, the occasional nudge in the right direction when you're lost, those hand-drawn animated graphics that everybody loves, it could be amazing. I feel like the Alex Kidd remaster couldn't take a mediocre game and make it good, but a Golden Axe Warrior remaster could take a good game and make it great. Except there is no remaster, it's all in my head. Get it made, Sega, you f***ing cowards. But the question remains, should you play Golden Axe Warrior? Yes, but with a guide, and maybe save scum using an emulator. I absolutely needed a guide to finish this game. And I only finished it last year, at the age of 39. And I save scummed the shit out of it. In conclusion, yes, you should play Golden Axe Warrior. And then you should lie to your children to get them to play it. Because without Golden Axe Warrior, I might never have tried games like Final Fantasy VIII or Chrono Trigger or Mass Effect, so I guess we can forgive Golden Axe Warrior for lying right to my 8-year-old face. Also, we learned that every single woman in the world wants Master System games, so you can stop listening to those horrendous incel podcasts now.